Ever feel like you're kind of wading through a sea of
Uh-huh.
people, and you're just trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
what makes them tick?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like we all want to understand people better, right? At work, relationships, even just ourselves, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into this book, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. It's a pretty dense read, so we're going to try to boil it down, give you the good stuff without having to read the whole thing.
Yeah, we've got some sources here. One kind of lays out the main benefits, the takeaways, and the other takes, well, a bit more critical look. So we'll try to, balance those perspectives for you.
Right. We want to give you the full picture. So Greene's whole thing is he's trying to equip us with this powerful way to understand why people do the things they do.
Yeah. It's ambitious. And, one of the first things that kind of jumps out at you is this emphasis on self-awareness.
Right. It's like
Okay.
before you can even begin to understand other people, you got to look inward. Figure out
Yeah.
your own stuff first.
Exactly. He talks about how our own hidden motivations and biases, they can really distort how we see other people. So it's like, you got to get your own house in order before you start critiquing the neighbors, right?
Makes sense. And he lays out these tendencies we all have. He calls them laws, not like legal laws, obviously.
Right. More like fundamental aspects of our nature.
Yeah, yeah. Like the law of irrationality, for example.
Oh, that's a big one. Basically, it shows how our emotions, they often overpower logic.
Which explains a lot, right?
It really does. Think about it. Have you ever tried to have like a difficult conversation with someone, and no matter how logical your argument is, they just react defensively?
Yeah, all the time.
Right. Well, that's the law of irrationality in action. Their emotions are in the driver's seat. And, once you recognize this, it can be incredibly useful. You can kind of anticipate reactions a bit better.
It's almost like having a secret decoder ring,
Sort of. But you have to be careful because, when you start talking about these laws, it's like, are we just predictable machines?
Right, right. That's a good point. It's a bit deterministic, isn't it?
It is. And the critics would say, yeah, human behavior is way more nuanced than a set of fixed laws can really capture. Our individual experiences, the context, our culture, they all play a huge role too.
So it's more like these laws are a starting point, not the whole story.
Exactly. A framework, a lens to look through.
But even so, when you start to understand these underlying patterns, it can feel kind of powerful.
Oh, definitely. And that's where, the ethical considerations come in.
Like you could use this knowledge to manipulate people.
Yeah. But the real goal here is to use it for good, to build better connections,
Hmm.
to foster empathy.
It's about recognizing the patterns, right?
Yeah,
So we can navigate our interactions more effectively, but also ethically.
exactly.
So think about your own life for a minute. Have you ever seen someone just totally lose it over something that seemed, well, small?
Like road rage.
Yeah. Or like someone blowing up at a barista over their coffee order. Maybe that's the law of irrationality at play,
Right.
where you never know what's going on beneath the surface.
That's so true. And another one that's really relevant to everyday life is the law of projection.
What's that?
So basically, we often project our own feelings and insecurities onto others. Like, let's say you're feeling super insecure about a project at work,
Then there.
and then your colleague gives you some feedback, totally
Yeah.
constructive,
Yeah.
right? But you take it as criticism because
Wow.
you're already feeling vulnerable.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you're projecting your own insecurity onto them.
Exactly. And recognizing this tendency in ourselves, it can really help prevent misunderstandings in relationships.
This is good stuff. So you're saying, like, if I could recognize these patterns in myself,
Yeah, and in others.
then I could start to see things a bit differently, respond in a more measured way.
Yeah, you start to see those like knee-jerk reactions coming, and you can choose a different path. And Green has all sorts of other laws too, about seduction and power dynamics.
Right, but they all kind of boil down to this idea of
Yeah.
observing behavior, both
Yeah.
in ourselves and in others, and looking for those recurring patterns.
Exactly.
It's fascinating, right?
Totally. Like human nature is a puzzle. And Green's work, it gives us some tools to start putting the pieces together.
Yeah. And even just having this little glimpse into these ideas,
Yeah.
it can help you navigate the world a little bit better.
You're not just reacting to everything anymore, you're understanding it.
So, to our listeners, we want to leave you with this question. Now that you got a taste of these laws, how will you observe the people around you? What patterns will you start to see? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the laws of human nature.